Well, joining me now is the host of the Veterans in Politics podcast, Johnny Ball. Good afternoon to you, Johnny. Thanks for joining us on the show. I wanted to ask you, Johnny, about the events of this weekend, in particular the 145 arrests that we saw on the Armistice Day marches. Do you think with the treatment ahead of that, we had, for example, on the show on Friday night, Colonel Richard Kemp broke the news that veterans had been told not to wear medals on the way to those marches. We saw poppy sellers surrounded and shoved. Do you think there's a sense of inevitability that tensions got high on Saturday?
Thank you. And I found that clip ahead of this immensely compelling. And thank you for sharing that, because after all, that is what Remembrance is all about. I'm still struggling to find exactly where these messages of don't wear your medals, don't wear the poppy, don't wear your regimental headdress. You'll see over my shoulder my medals that I proudly wore over the weekend. And in fact, I was in London, not just yesterday, but Saturday and Sunday, and I travelled from the East Midlands. And every step of the way, including being accompanied by my wife, I felt safe and secure, and took the moment to thank the police for making that environment happen. We can't hide away from the fact that it was different this year. There was a large group of people, and there were another group of people as well trying to disrupt what they were up to. And we were kind of in the middle of that. And I just think there's been too much politics, too much attention to extreme elements of our society, which are in the minority, when we should be focusing exactly what you just did now, a moment ago, in that clip on Remembrance.
Yeah, and it was incredibly sort of sad to see the clashes. Nobody wanted those clashes. As a consequence, it has taken the scalp of the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. Do you think that was the right thing to do for her to go?
Well, whether or not it's right or wrong, I'll leave that both to the Prime Minister and the Conservative Party to decide, and its membership. But I don't think her comments in the lead up to that were particularly helpful. It detracted away from the core message of Remembrance. I think for the police officers on the ground, they would have, I know what it's like myself. I've been into public disorder situations. I served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, and going into those situations on the streets where you've got highly tense scenarios with communities banging against each other and you're in the middle. I've been in that situation. And when that happens, you want the support of your chain of command. And the former Home Secretary is part of that chain of command. So therefore, her words matter. And because that passes on the rhetoric further down, and I don't think it was particularly helpful.
And Johnny, what's the overriding sentiment now within the veteran community that you've spoken with over the weekend about the trouble that broke out? What's the morale like amongst the veteran community now?
I'll be honest with you, we didn't even talk about it. We did not let those idiots, and let's call them out for what they are, whether it's on the far right or the far left, they are idiots. We did not let their activities disrupt our activities, which was to remember. I was so fortunate to be shoulder to shoulder, really close to the cenotaph with my fellow team members from the Invictus Games, of which I took part in this year. And we came together as a family. When that 11 o'clock rang on Big Ben, it reverberated around Westminster, and it reverberated around me. The emotion overcame me, and I stood there and my eyes shut with tears in my eyes, remembering the lives of my school friend, Tom Tanswell, who died in Iraq, my classmate from the Defence School of Languages, Anthony Downing, who died in Afghanistan. And that is what Remembrance is about. I was also able to take some quiet time down at the Iraq-Afghan Memorial, which is just behind MOD main building in the gardens there. And I was very fortunate to be at the unveiling of that with Her Majesty the Queen. And it was a personal reflection time, a bit of silence, where I was able just to really reflect. So all of that activity, all that noise, what we've seen in the media, the veterans community, I'm sure there were some that felt a bit frightened, and it perhaps did put them off coming. But the message was loud and clear from one of our own. The Veterans Minister himself, a seasoned veteran of Afghanistan, Johnny Mercer, said, "Come to London. This is our nation's capital. We will not let elements of the right, far right, or the far left overtake what we're there to do, which is to remember."
Johnny Ball, wonderful sentiment, beautifully put. Thank you. The host of the Veterans in Politics podcast, that was Johnny Ball. Love it.